Hi, this is David. Today we're going to talk about Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is a low-code solution. You can use it to create AI applications writing little or no code. And we can use it to quickly create and publish a chat service that understands and responds to human readable language, like English. So it can be trained to respond to simple prompts, or we can create workflows to do things like follow-up questions, handle conditional logic, present multiple choice answers. Really, just about anything you want is available to you in that workflow. So this video, I'm going to show you how to use Copilot Studio to create an AI-powered chat application that not only does this workflow, but also can answer questions about your own content, such as your websites, your documents, and let's get started. So to get started, I want to navigate to aka.ms/Copilot Studio. That takes me to here. And if you don't have an account, just click on Try Free right here. This will allow you to enter your email address and click Next, and a wizard will walk you through creating up an account. And then it takes a little bit, but once you have it, then you should be able to go back to here and sign in. Click on Sign In. This is, you notice it's in preview right now as of March of 2024, and I'm assuming that's the reason why there's a broken link right here. But if I click on Return Home, this button does seem to work. It takes me to the right place. And here we are right here. It says Overview, and there's some interesting stuff here. If I want to see the copilots that I've already created, I would click on Copilots here. It looks like I only have one so far, but what I want to do to create a new one is just click that new Copilot button. I'll give it a name. I'm going to call this one GCast Copilot. I select what language do I want it to understand and output in. Right now there's these 5 languages. English happens to be my native language, so I'll just select that. And then I can specify a website that I want it to index so that users can ask questions about the content of that website, or questions that are answered in the content of that website. I'm going to use my own blog right here, davidgr.com, and I'll click on Create. And I'll just show you this blog. I've been maintaining this thing for decades, almost 20 years. And there's all kinds of information here. There's videos, there's technical articles, there's some personal thoughts, there's book reviews, all sorts of things are in here. So if you're not just a regular reader, go ahead and check out davidgr.com. But if I scroll down here, I can scroll just all sorts of hundreds, maybe thousands of articles here, and I can ask questions about that if I want to know, what did David think about this particular book, or what did he write about this particular technical topic? The chatbot should be able to answer that because it's going to index this site. All right, let's go back to here, and my chatbot has been created, and what I really want to do is open up this topics tab. And you notice that the topics, there were a bunch of topics created, 7 topics created right here. Let's look at a couple of them. Some of them are really simple, like greeting. Right here. So if somebody says good afternoon or hello or hi, it'll respond with hello, how can I help you today? I'll look at another one. It's a little bit more complex. How about this one right here? If I say something like buy items or buy product, then it's going to ask, I'm happy to place your order. And then it'll say, to what state will you be shipping? And then your answer is significant. It'll read a string and it'll say, okay, if it's California or Washington or Oregon, go down this path right here and ask, what item do you want to do? But if you're not in one of those 3 states, then it's going to give you another message that says, there will be additional shipping charges. Is this acceptable? And you'll have to answer a Boolean, yes or no. And it depends on what the answer is. The answer yes, it'll start just ask you what product you want. If you say no, then it'll basically say, end conversation, goodbye, and stop right there. So whatever, if you're ready to go forward, it'll ask you, it'll say which product you want to order, and there's a multiple choice selection here, all sorts of things right here. Depending on what you want to do, it may have a other options based on, responses based on what you selected. So this is a relatively complex workflow in here with some conditional logic and so on that you can do. So that's kind of interesting. But what I think is really interesting is under system, we have this conversational booting that it created. You can create more of these workflows. You can edit them if you want to. But in here, you'll see an example of how it's using AI. So if you ask a question here that it doesn't understand, it wasn't found in one of those other topics, then it will do this generative answers. And the data source, I only gave it one data source right here, and that was my website, somewhere in Internet for public websites. But yeah, there it is, davidgr.com. And but I can add more to it if I want to. I can add like up to 4 websites to search through, and it'll respond based on that. And if it does find a decent response, it'll display that response right here. All right, so let's see this thing in action. This interface provides a way of testing this Copilot that I've created. I can go over here where it says Test Copilot and click in this chat window right here. And one nice thing to do is just to turn on tracking. What that means is if I say on right here, I should see in this window which of the topics is being used and which step in that topic is being executed. So let me, for example, come in here and say, hi. And that launched the greeting because one of the phrases in here was hi, and then it came back with hello, how can I help you today? You see right there, it's being executed. And that's it. That's great. I want to remember lesson 3 was purchase was one of the options right here. And that launched this lesson 3 with conditional variables, blah, blah, blah. And purchase item was one of those things. It was smart enough to understand that purchase matches this thing right here. So it says, I am happy to help you place your order right here. And then to what state will you be shipping? And then I can specify the state. And remember, if I say California, Washington, or Oregon, it'll go straight through. But if I give another state, I happen to live in Illinois, so I'll say Illinois, then it'll go down this path to the right. And it'll say, will there be additional shipping charges? $27.50. Is that acceptable? There's a Boolean response. I'll say, yeah, that's fine. $27.50. I'm totally rich. And then ask me, what do you want to buy? There's a few options here. I'll say, laptop computer sounds pretty good. Right here, what items, etc. Great choice, blah, blah, blah. Did that answer your question? I'll say yes. And based on the workflow, the final thing is rate your experience, 5 stars, would read again. And can I help you with anything else? I'll say yes. And I do want to help with anything else. So there's one of those workflows, relatively complex workflow, but here's the cool one, the AI one. What I'm going to do is, remember I have this page right here, or this website right here that I've maintained for a long time. And I happen to have on here a bunch of top articles that I wrote years ago, maybe 15 years ago, on data visualization. And I remember that, so I can say, tell me about data visualization. And because it's indexed my site, I should get some information that's being pulled from that series of articles. And here we go. It's got a summary. It's a representation of data in visual formats, such as charts, graphs, and maps to help people, blah, blah, blah. And there are even links in here to some of those articles. So if I go down to part 3 right here, you can see here's an article that I wrote way back in 2011 that talked about a concept of data visualization. So in your scenario, you might point to your own website or your own documents, and people could ask you, what products do you offer? What? Tell me about your HR policy. Tell me about some success stories of the services that you offer. Things like that. People want to know more about your company. They could, of course, go to your website and browse through and try and find it that way, or they could just ask questions using a natural language like English, something they're used to, and this thing would respond to them in their own language. Very cool. I didn't have to write any code for that. If I want to, I can come back in here and add new topics right here. But or I can go in and edit a topic by coming in here and editing it. All sorts of powerful things that you can do with this. Maybe I'll save that for another video. This is David. Thank you for watching.